Yes.
Single sourcing when hiring the Queen's Counsel Khawar Qureshi. DPP Haji says local council declined to prosecute the cases. He said there was adverts that were put in the paper. Either they didn't get the persons that were suitable, but they then went for single sourcing, and he says the appointment was in line with the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act.
That is what we've been saying, and we do not really know the relationship between the DPP and the Queen's Counsel. Because
what are you saying?
We're now exactly.
What are you saying?
We do not
You're
really
impugning some ill motive here, just by that statement.
Exactly.
It is very possible with one sentence
it's simply single sourcing. While I must acknowledge the work done by the DPP so far, he's really done a good job. Although I tend to call him a populist per se, but he's really tried. Save for this populism thing that he does, you know, pushing matters to court without evidence, you know, trying to direct and saying, you know, we are going to do this. I mean, even some matters that ought to have been sorted through other mechanisms. You know, I've always said that even on matters of corruption, if we give the suspects some kind of an amnesty of a year or so, and tell them, you know, guys, we are giving you a year to get back this money or do this and this and this. We probably try something different, because after all, the DPP is actually becoming so predictable, and the DCI, okay, fine, I'm corrupt, so what I'll do, I'll get some foreign accounts or some place and put some money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're
Aren't they?
Look here.
I mean, Giritas has been frozen.
Frozen. You can only do that locally.
Governor Kotho
But you can only do that locally.
But Governor Kotho Bado's accounts, and
even
for
in
his,
Hong Kong.
even outside the country, have been.
Do you know the process of actually freezing an external account? It's not as easy as getting a direction
so you
from
want
the court,
amnesty,
and especially when it comes to the common law jurisdictions. It's not very easy. However, if people are given an amnesty, for instance, we'd probably try something different. That, okay, fine, guys, we really want to make this country, we need to create this country, but we're giving you an amnesty, and whoever fails to refund his money back to the public, or even 70% or whatever, come negotiate with us,
but
because we've actually found you.
Sylvanus is also on record as having netted in quite a bit of, you know, recovered quite a number of assets. Which is sort of the end game of what you're talking about.
I tend to think that much of it is just a media hype. I mean, nothing much has been done. I mean, we lost 9 billion in the NYSY one. How much has been recovered so far?
So should we give amnesty, Sylvanus, to everyone?
Not everyone. Some of these major...
Everyone that is suspected of, and let's be clear, they are still suspects. And
you know, we need to sit down and hold a conversation as a country and say, corruption is a disease in this country. And we need to now find a long-lasting solution.
And amnesty
in my opinion, amnesty is one. That there is a person probably somewhere who is actually feeling so guilty of what he took, and is probably thinking that he's next. So what is this guy going to do?
Really?
Is to make sure, yes, probably thinks, okay, fine, when I get office, I'll be next. So this person is trying to do proxy accounts and proxy companies.
So let me ask you, Sylvanus, how would that deter corruption? Because, I mean, the aim of this also is not just to get the assets, but also
to deter.
To iwe funzo kwa wengine.
Exactly.
Kama hiyo. Because if I were to take funds illegally, trade with that money, make profit, and then return the principal, and say, oh, it was 1 billion.
No.
Here you go. And I've made another 6 billion from that money.
I am not.
Then what stops me from getting corrupt again and saying it's okay? I want
to make that one. I want to make this one clear. I do not mean perpetual amnesty. Like we need to do it quite often. After having a conversation, we probably give a 1-year amnesty. And then within this 1 year, we come up with serious punitive measures to deter any other thing, including having corruption placed as a capital offense, you know, sentenced to murder, I mean to death, like murder, you know, within that 1 year. And we tell people, okay, fine, if you do not do within this 1 year, we are going to do this.
And when we come for you,
when we come for you, we'll do this. Trust me, we'll recover a lot of money than what we are doing. But now, coming back to the Queen's Counsel.
Because I want to talk about what it says. Just 1 minute, Sylvanus. I know you want to respond.
I disagree with Sylvanus.
And then we'll get to the Queen's Counsel.
Completely. These people who loot cash in massive volumes in this country are heartless and cold. You tell them to return this money, they will look at you like, what do you mean? I can buy the judge. These people go on about their lives with such reckless abandon that, you know, they give a hoot about absolutely nothing. The only thing we are going to do is to have functional systems that our judiciary is able to expedite some of these cases and get to the root cause of it. Look, you look at the DPP, and he is accused of also single sourcing. I want to make it clear that there are times when single sourcing is done with good intention. Most of the times it has been abused. But you see, when that rule was put in the Procurement Act, it was because someone envisaged a situation where you can be frustrated in attempting to do the right thing. You look at Nurdin, there is a possibility that, you know, someone has gone, hoarded off all councils, no one wants to take up this case, everyone fears because it's against a big shot or it's against someone who's going to be ruthless, and he needs the work done. What does he do in that situation? So I know that there are times when, most of the times, this single sourcing thing has been abused. But to give an amnesty, when President Kibaki took over this country in 2002, there was amnesty for people to return the monies they had looted. There was a grace period of about 6 months.
Without punitive measures.
Yeah, without. They were told, you return the money, we give you our word, you will go scot-free. What happened?
So even without punitive measures, they were still not able
to return
the money.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
I am talking about an amnesty with punitive measures.
Okay.
That failure to do this,
we will avoid
the
exactly.
But there has been another amnesty that had the same punitive measures that you're talking about. I think the late Major General Joseph Kaiseri had an amnesty for all of these young people who had joined Al-Shabaab, who had arms.
Now, and you've given a good example.
Did they come back?
No, you've given a good example.
Okay.
But that is
what is happening. Of that?
But that is what is happening in, is it northern sides of the country, where guys are actually, we've seen young people, even West Pokot, we've seen young people give back their guns to the state. We've actually seen that. We saw that. Even General Kaiseri, when General Kaiseri was actually traversing the country, we saw young people giving back their guns. We've even seen that one in the slums. We've seen that one in the slums where guys are told, okay, guys, we're going to kill you if you do not get back, return those guns that you're having. And we've seen young people reform. What I'm saying is this. It caps to a certain extent. We are not conclusively putting on hold the legal process that is required of a suspect, not necessarily. We're only saying if we give people an amnesty within a year, trust me, we will recover 30%. That, okay, let me tell you something. Going to court on criminal charges does not guarantee you a refund of your money. It will only give me a punity. It will only punish me on jail time or whatever. But that's part of the process,
though, because there's the multi-stakeholder committee that has people from the EACC, from the office of the DPP that are then, tasked with recovery of assets from corrupt dealings.
That is very true. But let me tell you this. If I steal your money today, or if I happen to, get your money today, and you take me to the police, I'll be charged with obtaining money by false pretense, for instance. While you've actually lost probably 10 million shillings to me. And then after the end of the process, I'll be jailed for 3 years, or 4 or 5 or 10 or whatever years, and come out. You see? But still, you've lost the 10,000. For you to recover this amount of money, you will only sue me on the civil line. Probably take me to the magistrate court and have me sued. Now,
but
on the corruption matters.
There is a process with this within the office of the DPP for asset recovery that quickly follows after conviction.
After conviction, and now that is where the problem.
Of course, it would have to be after conviction, because you would have to have been found guilty
to be jailed,
of the crime, or else, if we're asking you, because isn't there a loophole within the amnesty to say, what money am I returning? Are you saying I'm guilty of it? And won't there be people
No. That
who
is why it should be voluntarily. If you sit down with the suspect or any person you've really suspected and tell them, okay, guys, as a country, we are changing this, and we've come up with serious punitive measures on corrupt individuals. We need them killed. We need them, sentenced to death. But before we now effect this kind of serious punitive measures and have it as a corporate offense, we want you guys to get back this amount of money that you've stolen, that we believe you've stolen. Now, I can tell you there are several thieves outside there who really want to get back that money, but they They're scared of these advertisements you see on TV of Good Friday arrests. They are scared of image and stuff like that.
Well, perhaps if they're scared of arrest, perhaps they should not have been engaging in corrupt activities.
And that's why we need to have a conversation.
But here's, I want us to focus on this for a moment. Because DPP Haji is on record as saying the reason he went for a foreign, the Queen's Counsel, is he wanted an independent person to handle the case. There were allegations of bias and witch hunt against his office. As you know, when you touch on someone, who you know, but then you are. And in fact, even politically, Sylvanus, there have been questions about who is being targeted in the war on corruption. It's targeting person X or Camp Y because of 2022 politics. Does this then sort out that issue? You have a foreigner who does not know Osoro comes from which part of the country, Osiani comes from where, who wants to be president in 2022, who does not. Does it solve that issue?
I think the most objective of reports we've ended up having, like the Kriegler report, have been, I mean, save for the Ndungu report that was done by a local, which was as objective as it gets, and I hope it gets implemented someday. The other report that was tamper-proof was Kriegler report, led by someone absolutely out of this context, who did not give a hoot whether it's my tribesman or my party guy. Look at what happened with the TJRC report. You ended up having the TJRC report being mutilated because the people even involved with it were mentioned in it. I absolutely concur that for a moment, even though I'm the greatest believer in our ability, but I also am the realest person who knows that our abilities are hampered by prospects of tribe and things like that, and that we are easily bought, or even if not bought, it's very easy to fear. Once you just see who you're dealing with, you will be counted for the people who attempted to rein in on this guy and disappeared, never to be found, and you just go, you know what? I love my wife and family, and I just want to live my life peacefully.
I'm not going to die for this country.
And judges recuse themselves. And that's what I'm saying. I am for these, trying to ensure that our institutions can work. That, like South Korea, whose former president is serving a jail term, like Brazil, whose former president is serving a jail term, we are able to have in this country a judicial system that's thorough, an investigative agency that is laser focused, that will pin down these corrupt people with absolute and sufficient proof that can neither be bought nor sold, knowing themselves that in case you are found to have abetted corruption by taking bribe from the person you're investigating, then we are going to have the same raft of measures taken against you for this. Until we get to that point, we may have amnesty, and it's a good thing what Sylvanus is saying. To an extent, I understand him, but that will take an absolutely fresh presidency that says, I'm starting on a clean slate, you have 3 months to return the money. In Zambia, the corrupt President Lungo, very corrupt, but there's one thing he has done very well. He will come and say, we've lost 70 billion Kenya pipeline. My investigators will know where the money is. He will summon you to his office. He will tell you, Chief, we've lost 70 billion. By tomorrow morning, I want 50 billion. Or else you will not be there. Period. Thank you. Leave the office.
Sylvanus?
On that particular point, for me, I tend to think that it's like the DPP is actually curing a long-run malaria with single dose of Panadol. And
that only takes away the pain.
Exactly. To only take away the pain.
Doesn't really cure
it doesn't cure the disease. What makes him think that by single sourcing a counsel from outside, people now will believe that the guy will now be acting impartial? I mean, we already know the guy is single sourced, so he'll be probably his flower girl. I mean, he'll go according to his directions. This mentality of and I think
but what
I
was
really
he to
like.
do?
I really
what
like.
What was he to do, Sylvanus? He said he advertised for the positions,
and he felt.
No, well, it was surely in the panel, it is not the DPP who sits by himself. But even then, there's a number of prosecutors that declined to take these cases. So, what is a man to do?
No, I doubt the
prosecute them himself.
I doubt.
Oh, you don't buy.
I don't buy. I can't buy that. I mean, I saw senior counsels in the profession apply. I saw serious firms in this profession apply, and I think the DPP, as he's portrayed himself, although he's doing a good job, is a man who wants to take all credit. He's a guy, in my opinion, who does not, who might not really, in my view, be a good team player. I mean, he wants to take all the credit. That is why he's actually all over blaming everyone. He's blaming the judiciary when things don't go his direction, yet he knows the law. I mean, he's blaming this side, he's blaming Parliament, you know, there are some laws we need to change to cut. So he's a guy who is determined to save this country. But he needs now to open up to other people. He
is this a political statement, Sylvanus? Because
it's not. It's
because,
not. I do that to that
allies, your allies, and you know what I mean, people have seriously faulted the war on graft, saying it targets a specific individual in this country or a specific camp. Tying this to 2022, is that your belief today?
No, not necessarily. I started by saying that the DPP, a man I hold in high regard, is a person who is doing a very, very good job. Very, very good job. He's really slowed down.
Everything you've said,
I've said he's really slowed down. You know, he's made a lot of.
You said he's populist.
Exactly. But what he does, the problem within his scope of job, you know, within his duties. In my opinion, he acts with a lot of populism. And in my view, like, I'll give you a very practical example. And this is it's something that is in public domain. In 1998, is it 2008, the Deputy Chief Justice, through an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, purchased some land. And it's actually a council is supposed to pay duty and everything in all those processes. So I'm told he lacked, you know, she never paid 50,000 stamp duty. Something of that nature, of minute nature, that just requires you to do a letter to a DCJ and tell her, okay, we need to recover the 50,000 shillings from you because you never paid stamp duty. I mean, after all, it is just recovering that amount of money. Something very small that could actually be sorted out through negotiations. What did the DPP do? You know, Rash embarrassed her when she's leaving her office after the meeting and everything, got cameras and said, you know, we are going to make sure that this thing is big and stuff like that. For me, that was populism. Every other thing, he must have been doing some good job. But for me, to me, that is populism.
Okay.
You are pushing things through.
I don't think.
And it should actually be shy.
But let me ask Sylvanus, is that sort of
courtesy? It should be camera shy because
but is that sort of courtesy extended to other ordinary Kenyans who steal chicken and who, you know, which, according to what you're saying, are minor infractions, but you're told, sasa ile kuku liba ya neighbor, fanya hivi, enda tu hapo kwa soko, nunua ingine, rudisha.
You know, kama crimes of commission.
Chukua vifaranga wawili, rudisha huko.
Crimes of omission and crimes of commission are parallel in nature. Where I omit to remit my taxes, where I failed to remit my taxes.
Tax evasion versus avoidance.
Exactly. we need to have a balance.
I just didn't know. You know. Oops.
No, not even that. Why are we told?
Did I do that?
Why does the county government give people a period, kinda like, we are giving you 3 months to pay these rates, the land rates and stuff like that. If you don't, then this is what we'll do. I mean, that's what we need. After all, you know, when we want to recover revenue, we simply want to recover revenue for this country. You do not need to have somebody in jail to recover that amount of money.
David, I want you to have the last word on this and then we move on to...
Tell you what, foremost, let me correct this, that the DPP did not embarrass the DCJ. In fact, if there is one person who was handled with absolute decorum, and I think I was here the next day, and I thanked the DPP for the first time for having handled a country person with such dignity and honor. They sat with the CJ, discussed what was going to happen, said this is why we are here, we don't want to hound her like she is a goat. And when the DCJ said, okay, I'll come with you, they allowed her to ride in her car and drove behind her. That was decorum. And I said, I hope that if Sylvanus or David does any other thing, they would be treated in like manner. All right? That said, I've done a postgrad diploma in political psychology of populism. And I know only too well that what is popular...
Say it again.
What is popular, Yvonne?
No, I'm joking. But
is
you
not
are
necessarily
right.
populist.
Yes.
Populist is something done with the intention of making people happy but achieving nothing.
Okay.
If I go today and I declare a road, that we have opened this road, and I know that road was commissioned 4 years ago, that is populist. However, if I decide to crack down on corrupt political leadership, that will be popular, but it is the right thing. It's not populist.
Okay. Okay.
So I think what the DPP
populist.
has done, he has made steps that are very popular with the people. He did not intend to appease or make the people happy. He just intended to do the right thing, and the people found that very exciting.
I'll
tell you this.
I'll ask you this. And I'll tell you this as now, forget about my politics and side shows and everything. I'll now tell you this as a lawyer.
Yes.
I have seen these matters in court. I have seen files.
They're not well cooked.
Exactly. They're not. You know, most of these corruption matters, and I think that is why we fault judiciary for nothing. Yeah. You say judiciary is, dead, judiciary sides with people and stuff like that. But matters in court, matters of criminal nature must be proven beyond reasonable doubt.
I agree.
What happens is that we rush to court.
Yeah.
We call cameras without evidence. We get this person in the dock and we tell people, we play with the, that is what I call populism. We play with the public. Okay, we've gotten the DCJ in court. She must take plea today. But after plea, what happens? That is why most police officers lose cases after one has taken plea immediately. Why do you think files get lost?
Which was that case, in fact, that he was still waiting to get evidence.
Exactly. That is why they still seek for time, you know, like we hold this suspect for 10 days.
Which is
and
all
by
right.
the way, I don't know who is closer to the DPP, and I respect him a lot, but I think
closer between who?
Like whoever is, I mean like close in terms of his advisor. But I want to say this. No, I wanted to say this. My view is, and to him, with a lot of respect, he should for now, he should actually avoid cameras and just get back to, work, not all over cameras.
Gentlemen,
and
I would like us to leave it at that.
To that extent, I agree. And maybe, Yvonne, I need to just quip that there is need for cases brought before court to be watertight. I understand also as a Kenyan the frustrations that would go into investigating these things. And that is why the president's decree that he would add resources and goodwill to that particular, those two offices in the EACC is much welcome. It's the greatest thing that has happened. I just hope that then we are able to achieve as much. I think the intention the DPP has is fantastic. What he has achieved, even as a matter of deterrence so far, is absolutely good.
Even in terms of kamata